Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Mafex Batman Zack Snyder's Justice League version, which is interesting because the previous Batman that we got from Mafex of this design was actually a pretty decent figure. I liked it a whole bunch when it came out, and I thought it was good. And this one seems to be better in every way, I think. And don't get me wrong, I'm not like some kind of Zack Snyder fanboy or anything like that. It's just a better figure as far as I can tell, and I'll do a quick comparison for you guys in a minute. But this is the new Batman. Definitely some differences that are like preference type things, but also a lot of differences that are just quality type things. So let's go ahead and get him off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we get into the review, I do want to show you the package. I will also note, I have taken off my polarizing filter for this review because he's so darn dark, so if you see a little bit of extra glare, I apologize, but it'll help to let you guys actually see the figure otherwise. So, there you go. Packaging is black and white, which is a little bit weird. And that's kind of an interesting pose. And there's some color on the back, that's nice. Yeah, it's standard Mafex packaging, nothing too special. It's kind of, I guess it's just glossy. I thought it was metallic, but I think it's just really glossy in black and white. But there's the package. Okay, let's look at the figure. Should we go brighter? He's so dark. I think we'll try that. That looks like it looks okay to me. And then, yeah, we'll leave it like that. Hopefully you guys like the way it looks. If not, well, sorry. Okay, so, question of the day. Which bat suit do you think is the best? I don't care about the actor, I don't care about the film it's in, I don't care about any of the things around it, but which live action bat suit do you think is the best? For me, it's this one. It has to be this one. This one is by far the most comic accurate bat suit, so I have to go with this one. And it's not even close to in my estimation. Alright, so let's do a height measurement, and we'll go from there. Every time I ask a question like that, people bring in the writing and the acting and everything, and I don't care about that. I care about the suit. That's what the question is. Let's not fight. Alright, 6 3/4 to the very top of his little bat ears, and that's going to be about 17.2 centimeters. Here he is up against, I should pan back a little bit here. Here he is up against his counterpart. It's so strikingly different. This one's gray, mostly, and this one's mostly like really dark gray. Way smaller figure in height and bulk and everything. Doesn't have the wired cape. Similar in other ways, of course, like the articulation's a lot the same. This one has all new shoulder type stuff. So, if you ask me, this one blows it out of the water without any close contest at all. It's not even close. I really, really liked this when it came out. This one makes it look silly. So, unless you really like the darker color scheme, this is the way to go, for sure. For sure. But that's it for the comparison, because it doesn't really matter that much. They're different figures. So, let's look at this guy. We're going to start with the aesthetic. The bulk is way better. It's way more accurate. The shoulders sticking out, maybe it's a bit much, but he had pretty broad shoulders, and you can actually push him in a little bit more, depending on how you have that butterfly joint set up. So, you can do that. Is it too bright? Is that better? It's hard to film these dark figures. Anyway, I think it looks way more accurate to the source material. I don't think he was ever as dark as the other figure makes him look. And this the sculpt is better, the proportioning is better, it's more accurate, it's really, really nicely done. The head sculpt is way nicer. It's a good head sculpt for the cowl, for sure. The mouths inside the cowl heads aren't as good, I think, but it's still pretty good. Like, that still looks like him. But the unmasked head, which I'll show you when we get to the accessory section, is kind of remarkable. But yeah, he looks way nicer. His cape is wired. It's a better material. Very similar, but better material. The cape does connect at the very front of the cowl, which allows for the cape to come over the shoulder in the front. However, the way it's designed, you can't quite do what you want to do, but it does go over the front at least some, and you can probably mess with it a little bit to get it to do better. But the way they have it connected is kind of annoying, but it was a good idea at least, and I think it'll probably work for a lot of poses at least. But otherwise, you can definitely bring it over the shoulder the way they have it in the package. And it still looks nice. It's a pretty good idea. I think they could have probably executed just a little bit better. You can see it's not great there, but really good idea. Love that. Cape does still have the pleather look on the outside and the cloth look on the inside. Still has the tattered bottoms. And we still have all the detail work going on. You know, slightly different, of course, because it's a new sculpt. But it does look a lot better. So I'm thinking 9.5 out of 10. I think this thing looks pretty darn good. Like, really good. Can't think of too much to do. Maybe a wash over the whole thing, just like a general wash, I guess. But it looks really, really, really good. Okay, on to the accessories. We have the neutral head that comes on them in the package. Then we have the angry head and the yelling head. Again, they're maybe not the absolute best likenesses for the mouthpiece, but they do look, it's really well done. They look like little human faces, so that's nice. Then you get the unmasked head, which I think is just about as good a head sculpt as I have ever seen. I mean, it doesn't have all the details of like a Hot Toys figure, but in terms of accuracy, that is pretty damn good. That's a really, really, really good head sculpt, and the paint job is stylized, of course, because that's what Mafex does, but it's still nice. The 5 o'clock shadow looks good, the different blushing and things here and there, the shading in the hair. For this scale, it is incredible. It's a really, really good head sculpt. Like, really good. I never use unmasked heads in my collection, but that one's good enough that I could consider it. Okay, so you get those, and then you get some fist hands on them in the package, and you get some other hands, you know, enough hands. Not a ton of hands, but enough to get things done. You get his gun, which is really nicely detailed. That's very good. And you get his 3 batarangs, and that's it for the real accessories. You get a Mafex display stand, but nothing incredible here. It's just really the essentials, and I think that's okay. The head sculpt's great. I'll go 8 out of 10 just for that head sculpt. I'd like to see a little bit more stuff going on, but I don't think you really need it. Alright, for articulation. This is going to be important because this one is better than the previous one. As I mentioned, the cape is wired. It is a nice wiring. It's not perfect because of the way it's connected up here. I'm not even sure where the wire goes. It's a little bit weird, but as you can see, it still works. You can still get that cape up there, so it might be a little bit of a pain in the butt to do certain things with it, but it's pretty nicely done. For the heads, just ball pegs. I'd like to see bigger balls on a peg that size for sure, but the neck is also on a ball peg, and let's see how it functions. You don't always need them to be huge, it just gives you better range, but it looks like they did a pretty good job. You should be able to, yeah, it's gonna work. He can look up nicely. This is a very organic figure. As you pose it, it looks like what you want it to look like. It's very, very nice. Love the range. It's definitely sufficient. Yeah, bigger balls would give you more range, but you don't really need that, so that is okay by me. For the shoulder, we have the butterfly joint that's more akin to their modern, like, Nightwing or Daredevil comic version butterfly joints, so it moves around in different directions. So that's pretty good. You can raise the arm up only that high, which is just over horizontal, so it's probably okay. I'd like to see a little bit more, just because it's always better to have more, but it's not bad. Something in there. Bringing the arm across the chest isn't really going to happen. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, wow, that's... Maybe it was just tight. Bringing the arm across the chest isn't really going to happen too much. He's kind of chunky, and the butterfly isn't really designed for that. It's more for adjustment posing. That ball peg in there was tight at first, but it seems okay. Feels like the socket's not actually spherical, like it's lopsided or something. But you can adjust on the socket, and so you're going to get your full rotation. Oh man, that's... Oh, it's binding a lot. I don't know that it actually needs lube, though. I think it's just the shape of the socket is warped. But you do get your rotation in there, so that's okay. Shoulder could be finessed, but I think it's fine. It's better than the previous shoulders for sure. Bicep swivel is fine. Oh, the painting is... I don't like that. That's like Soda Street Fighter, and that's a great line, but I mean, it had its flaws, and one of the flaws was not having paint underneath the bicep swivel. That's unfortunate. That's really weird. Don't like that at all. That's a huge downside. I didn't notice that before. Alright, well, that sucks. If you're going to repaint the figure, it's easy to fix that. But you shouldn't have to, of course. Like, that's never my case. I'm just saying, if you're going to. Double jointed elbows, just better than 90. That's probably good enough. And then the wrists are on little ball hinges. So that'll be fine. The diaphragm joint, let's see. Leans back a little bit. Not a ton, but probably enough. If you want to close that gap, it's a little bit less. Leaning forward. It's okay. It doesn't actually go that far, but you do get down over a whole section of abs. So it's not terrible. Side to side, oh, basically nothing. You will get rotation. Down here, let's see what we get out of this. He does lean forward decent at the lower torso and really far back. So let's try them all together. So leaning back that should be sufficient between both joints. And leaning forward, is this gonna scratch everywhere? Is that what's happening? They didn't leave enough room, it feels like, for that. It does lean forward and back pretty nicely overall, but it feels like it's gonna scratch. Like they didn't leave enough clearance and didn't give you enough range at the same time, so that's a bit of a bummer. The belt is floaty in the front. Is it connected back here? Yeah, okay. Alright, for the hips, unfortunately, they're still doing drop downs, which I just don't like, because what happens is most of the time, and this is the case here, his hips are too wide in the neutral. Just a little bit, but they are too wide. And then when you bring them down, obviously they suck in and they're probably too narrow. Let's see. He can kick forward at an angle, at a pretty steep angle. That's not good. Decent enough range forward, I guess, but it's at a very steep angle to achieve it. Going out to the side is not good either. His hips are no good, guys. I mean, they're not the worst thing in the world, but they're not good. Alright, so that sucks. Awkward looking and not great range. Ugh. Nope. Drop downs are not the answer in a situation like this, or at least not the way they executed it. You can't bring his leg forward without kicking it out to the side. Alright, that sucks. Not much range going back. Double jointed knee. Decent enough range. Not the best looking knee ever for sure. It'll do. Alright, and then for the ankles you get ball hinges with relatively limited range. They're not terrible, but they're not especially good. Even the ankle rocker is pretty limited. And then the toe hinge is hideous. That's like the worst toe hinge I've ever seen. This was designed by somebody who's never seen a toe hinge before. What the heck? Holy crap, that's gotta be one of the worst toe hinges I've ever seen. Oh, that is offensively bad. That is insulting. Whoever designed that should never design action figures. That is the worst joint I've ever seen on an action figure. Maybe. Just because it's such a simple joint. I mean, I've seen worse for sure, but this is such a simple joint to screw up so badly. That's pretty incredible. Alright, so his articulation in some ways sucks big time. Definitely sucks big time in some ways, but in other ways it's definitely good enough. And so that's a weird balance. I'll have to say 7 overall. You're going to have to really work around some bad stuff. But other stuff is good at least. So yeah, I'm going to just say 7 overall for that. So, time for the final verdict. This guy definitely shines in the aesthetic department, for sure, not counting the bicep swivel paint situation. Accessories are definitely good enough. Articulation is passable. It's probably good enough to get you by, but it's definitely not as good as it should be at all. That's such an unfortunate way to end the review, that the articulation ended up being bad in a lot of ways. But yeah, it's definitely a much better looking figure. I would still say get it, personally. If you're a Batman fan and like this look, get it. You'll be fine. I'm going to deal with it because I really love the way it looks, and I really like the way they did the cape, and I like this suit a whole bunch. Objectively, the articulation is by far the weak point. I think the rest makes up for it enough. That's tough. It does look good. I'm going to say 8 out of 10. I wanted to go like 9, 9.5, but they really pooed the bed with that articulation. Really unfortunate. The hips, ankles, not good at all. Torso could be a lot better. But the cape is great. I think if you want to, let me put it this way. If you want to, you'll be able to make this figure look really good on your shelf. But it's gonna be a hassle with that articulation. Unless you just put him in a hero pose, in which case you win because it looks really good. So yeah, oh man, I hate it when they don't make it the last 10 yards or whatever the saying would be for football. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's a great figure in so many ways, but then really not good in others. But those are smaller, I think. Yeah, that's a tough one. Let me know. Alright, we'll talk in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day. Actually, it is, I think, every single day at this point. And thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.